to Chapter 5 of The Umbrella Girls. Just a reminder, don't forget to press the follow button on the podcast so you don't miss any episodes every week. Also, just remind you that we're now on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Samsung. So there's no excuse to miss any episode of The Umbrella Girls. And very soon we're going to allow you the opportunity to join the Umbrella Girls gang. So make sure you hit that follow button and keep track on what's happening every week. Okay, so let's get moving now with Chapter 5 and find out what's happened to Sam as she's falling through the tree with the wind and the rain banging her in the face and the branches all been so slippy that she can hardly hold on. The only thought that hit Sam was, what would she break? Her arm, her leg, or even both? She knew something had to break as she began to see the ground rushing towards her very fast. She could see the fear in her friend's eyes as she came towards them like a rocket. Leaves and bits of twigs cleaned her face as she moved fast downwards. Then, just out of eye vision, she caught the glow coming from the tree. Weird, she said to herself, and then her mind raced back to more important things, like how to stay alive. Then, for a split second, Sam realised she wasn't moving. She could just about see the look in Jojo's eyes. It seemed to change from that worried look to horror, and Sam couldn't understand why. Then she started to move again, but this time the movement was different. It was more intentional. It felt like she was being lowered towards the ground, slowly, rather than the motion of falling fast. Jojo and Anna and Kay at first didn't understand why they were falling in towards the trunk of the tree. They were moving fast, too fast to figure a way to stop and move in a different direction. Then the bright light hit their eyes and blinded them. It was like they'd fallen into a snowdrift, head first. Even when they closed their eyes and opened them again, it made no difference. Jojo heard a sound beside her and felt a hand brush off against her face. She screamed and then heard someone beside her scream as well. It sounded like Anna, but she could not be sure because the light was affecting every other sense in her whole body. And then the feeling of being faint came unannounced. Sam could not understand why she was moving so much slower. She tried to look up, but all she could see was darkness. And as she looked back down again, she wondered, where had her friends gone? Then she stopped with a sudden jerk, and almost at the same time was pulled sideways and then backwards. She put her hands quickly on her head, expecting to hit the side of the tree. But no bang or no pain came, and when she moved her hands to see why, she was blinded by the brilliant white light. Sam thought it was strange that she didn't feel worried or even scared, but it was more of a feeling of being safe. She put her hand over her eyes to block the light, and as she did so, she could have sworn that somebody put out a hand to reach her. Strange that. That was just before she smiled and sailed into a deep sleep. Then the light slowly faded as the entrance once again resumed its position that it had held for many years, and the gap in the tree closed. It was Kay who was first to open her eyes and slowly sit up. The bright light was gone, and in its place was normal daylight. That seemed strange to her, because her memory told her it should be nighttime. Also, the sun was high in the cloudless sky. No sign of wind or rain whatsoever, just pure sunshine. What happened? Jojo asked as she sat up beside her friend. I've no idea, Kay answered her friend. And Kay stood up and looked round at the old ruins that were all around them. Weeds and bushes grew where once windows and doors once stood. Cobblestone footpaths that seemed at one time to link a route like a well-laid jigsaw was now full of holes and missing stones. The sky above was blue and clear, but with no birds or insects moving about. Nothing is broken, Sam said beside her friends as she moved her arms and legs, checking that everything was in working order. Not a scratch, she laughed as she looked at her hands and her feet and felt her face, expecting to find cuts and marks, and showed them to the others. Nothing, not a scratch. Anna was the last to wake up and seemed to be very relaxed. Okay, I assume this is a dream, and if I pinch myself, I'll wake up, she told the rest as she pinched her skin on her arm hard. But when she looked up, she was still standing, looking at her friends. Okay, you all pinch yourselves, because if I'm not dreaming, one of yous are. Her friends did as they were told, and they all pinched themselves. But nothing happened. They all then looked at Anna. It took her about 15 seconds before she went ballistic. Where the hell are we? And what happened, Jojo? Well, she didn't allow Jojo any time to answer. I told you all this messing around with old journals was madness. Was I right? Was I right? She asked her friends, but answered the question for them all. I was right. Of course I was right. Now look at us. We're all dead. Kay cut in while Anna was taking a breath. Why would we be dead? She asked. Anna just looked at her. Why? Why? The light. The white light. That's why. They always say you see a bright light when you die. And boy, did we see a white light, she shouted as she stormed round with her hands on her head. And I don't want to be dead. And if I'm dead, someone is going to pay for it. All that studying and reading was a waste of time. Then she suddenly stopped pacing and looked at her friends and remembered something important. And I never got to beat Lisa Butler in the maths test. Ah, she said as she started pacing around again. Anna, hold on. We're not dead, Jojo said. You'll be right, Kay said as she realised she'd never seen Anna get so annoyed before. It actually was a bit funny. But she's right. We did see a white light. Okay, look. Yes, we saw a white light, Jojo said. But look around. And she turned and looked at all the scenery. Does this look like heaven? Then Anna answered, she's right. And she seemed to relax for a moment. But then she thought, unless we're in hell. Oh God, we're in hell. And she started to pace again. We're not in hell or heaven, Jojo said with an air of authority. Okay, so we're not in heaven or hell. Where are we? Sam asked. Jojo looked around and sighed. I've no idea. And before Anna could start pacing again, she added, but we're not dead. And then Anna asked in horror, where's the tree gone? Nobody spoke, but the expression on all the young girls' faces said the same thing. How do we get home? The girls looked around, all trying to work out what to do next. Where's the journal? Sam asked. Maybe that might help us. Seems as it got us here in the first place. I doubt it, Jojo answered as she looked round for her backpack. It only had that drawing. Everything else was unreadable. She added, as she spotted the backpack and the 4 umbrellas all standing neatly against the old wall. The wall itself was only about 3 foot high, but there was evidence that at one time it had been much higher. Who put all our stuff here? Jojo asked as she walked to 10 feet to the wall. None of the others answered. Well, if none of us moved to here, then that means someone else is here, she said as she slowly looked around the rooms. Something about the old buildings looked familiar to her, but Jojo just could not put her finger on it. It was as if the rooms were in the wrong place. But then the thought was gone. As she looked round, she could make out other old buildings in the distance, and a faint hint of smoke rising into the air. Look over there, she said excitedly. It looks like smoke, she said as she picked up the backpack. What do we do? Anna asked, looking worried at the thin line of white smoke slowly rising into the cloudless blue sky. I say we head over that way and see if we can find someone to answer a few questions for us. Like, how do we get home? Sam said. I agree, Kay answered, already moving on. Wait, Anna shouted. I said wait, she shouted again, but then lowered her voice when it suddenly dawned on her that someone else might be listening. We should wait here and see if anyone comes to rescue us. They always say, if you're lost, stay put. So I vote we stay here, she said with her hands on her hip. Right, but how do we know if anyone knows we're missing? They might think we're still in the garden, Kay said. And who will come looking for us inside the tree anyway? Sam said with a grin. The rest just looked at her. Well, we did go into a tree to get here. Did we not, or am I dreaming? And with that, she pinched her skin hard. No, I'm still awake. Anna, Sam's right. I really think we need to figure out where we are first and then decide how we're going to get home again, Jojo said as she opened her backpack and took out the old leather journal. Come on, Anna. If we find nothing over there, we can always head back here. Kay tried to reason with Anna as she pointed to the smoke in the distance. Anna looked at her three friends. She was still not convinced, but she knew if they went, she was going with them. Then she heard Jojo gasp. What now? Look, Jojo said as she held up the journal for the rest to see. They all looked at the drawing on the page. They showed a pathway leading to a small fire. And on that pathway was 4 young girls following the path. Was that there before? Sam asked Jojo as she went through the rest of the journal pages looking for more drawings. But there was none to be found. No, the only picture there before was of the tree. The other pages had bits of writing, but no other drawings. Okay, so that answers that question, Kay said as she went and grabbed the 4 umbrellas and started to hand them back to her friends. What question? Anna asked, looking at the umbrella with some confusion. Why do we need this? The question was, why should we head over there towards the fire? Kay explained. And the answer is simple. The drawing in the journal is telling us to. And then, holding her own umbrella high up in the air, she looked at her friends and smiled. And we might need this to fight off any dragons we might find, she said, laughing. Oh my God, was all Anna could say as Kay led the way. None of the girls had noticed the strange figure hiding, spying on them. The figure in the distance had been there ever since they had arrived into his land.